Hello scholars, welcome, Mr. Hinkle here. Let's talk about geologic unconformities. So what we're doing is we're going to discuss what an unconformity is, and then we'll get into the three different types that exist. So an unconformity is a gap in the rock record which occurs because of periods of erosion. So the rock cycle is this beautiful model that describes the creation, transformation, and destruction of earth materials, rocks. And it's based on various processes. The processes of erosion, transportation, sedimentation, deposition, and lithification create sedimentary rocks. But in order for sedimentary rocks to be created, there has to be erosion of other rocks. So sometimes the rocks that are being created are also being eroded. And there can be cyclical patterns of erosion where all of a sudden layers don't match up. You have these rocks that were going one way are cut off by rocks going another way, indicating there must have been a period of erosion in there. So, back to the Grand Canyon. The great unconformity of the Grand Canyon. It's a time gap of 300 million years where you had deposition, and then whatever happened between, 540 million years ago to 250? We don't know. We don't know. Tectonic setting changed, the level of the oceans had changed, the world was looking very different, and there was no deposition. But then, all of a sudden, deposition started again. And so what we see is rocks of Phanerozoic age, that's an eon, are overlying rocks of Proterozoic, and there's a huge gap in between, this gap being an unconformity. So there's three types of unconformities. Angular unconformity is where you have sedimentary rocks that are underneath sedimentary rocks where one of them are dipping at an angle to the other. So that means original horizontality says rocks are laid down flat, and then geologic forces tilt those rocks, and then erosion occurs, and then more sedimentary rocks are laid down. So, okay, looking at or seeing an angular unconformity allows the observer to get an idea of the geological history that was going on, except for what happened during the erosion. That's a time gap where we have no idea. Disconformity. So this is going to be an absence in parallel strata. So there's no angle, but erosion occurred. What happened during that period? We don't know, but we definitely know that something happened because we can see the nonlinear feature between the parallel sequences. This is also going to represent a time gap. All of these do. And our final is going to be a nonconformity where you have sedimentary strata overlying igneous or metamorphic, which collectively are called crystalline rocks. And there's erosion of the crystalline rocks with overlying flat sedimentary strata. This is going to be our third and final type of unconformity. Nonconformity. So let's go to the most famous unconformity in the world, Siccar Point. This is on the coast of Scotland. This is where James Hutton sat and he looked at these rocks and he went, wow. What happened here took a long time. So he was looking at rocks that were tilted straight up, an unconformity between the tilting straight up rocks and rock layers that are at an angle to the straight up and down rocks, and then also was looking at sand on the beach, going, all of these rocks are made of the same sand that I see on the beach. Whatever turned the sand on the beach into the rocks here must have taken a very long time, because not only did it do that, but then Earth tilted the rocks, carved the rocks, deposited more rocks, and then exposed all the rocks at the surface, and that must have taken so much time. This is where he got the concept of geologic time. This is also where he developed the idea of uniformitarianism, that the present is the key to the past, that whatever's happening on Earth now, whatever's transforming sand into sedimentary rocks, must have been happening in the past, and we can understand Earth's history by observing what's happening today. So, unconformities, although they are periods where we don't know what was going on, they also indicate that erosion was happening at that location. There's three different types: angular, disconformity, and nonconformity, that represent gaps in the rock record. So thank you so much. This is Geologic Unconformities.